Kael Waker Dreamforge. The alarms were cold. Not bells, not horns, but a fracturing in the stillness. I woke to it or didn't wake, more like the dream shifted, cracked. The obsidian veil, the barrier between sleep and waking, was failing. A tear widening with every heartbeat. Old man Tiber, he'd warned me. Said the waking world was remembering how to dream its own dreams, and that would unravel everything. He was right, of course. He usually was. A small tear now, but enough. Enough to let the nightmares bleed through. I found Alara, the weaver, hunched over the loom of slumber, her hands moving too fast, trying to mend what wasn't threadbare but broken. She looked up, her eyes the color of storm clouds. "They're remembering Waker," she said, her voice thin. "The humans, they used to build their own worlds in sleep. Now they fear it. Fear feeds the nightmares." She told me about the first sleepers, the ancient ones who shaped reality with their dreams. We'd forgotten them, or they'd forgotten us. It didn't matter. They were waking up, and their nightmares were hungry. This reminded me of my father, also a dream tender. He disappeared into a rift years ago, chasing a particularly vicious shade. I never knew what happened to him. The tear in the veil widened. I saw fragments of the waking world, cities of steel and glass, faces pale with exhaustion. They were losing the ability to truly rest, to recharge. And in the absence of good dreams, the bad ones flourished. We tried to reinforce the veil to channel the remaining positive energy, but it was like trying to hold back the tide with a sieve. A shade, a particularly powerful one, slipped through. It wasn't a monstrous shape, not at first. More like a cold spot, a feeling of dread. But it fed on fear, and it grew with every frightened thought in the waking world. Old man Tiber found me, not in the skybound labyrinth, but in the ruins of the forgotten temple, a place where the first sleepers used to gather. He hadn't warned me about the temple. He just disappeared. He said the key wasn't to block the nightmares, but to remind the humans how to dream good dreams. He spoke of a lost artifact, the Dreamstone, a relic that could amplify positive emotions. The stone wasn't in the temple, but I found a hidden chamber, a recording from one of the first sleepers. She spoke of the stone and of a place called the Sunken City, where it was hidden, protected by a guardian. The Sunken City, a place of coral and shadow. I fought the guardian, a creature woven from forgotten hopes and broken promises. It wasn't a fight of strength, but of will. It showed me visions, my father, lost in the rift, a world consumed by darkness. It wanted me to give up, to accept the inevitable. But I remembered Alara's words and the faces of the sleeping humans, their potential fading with every nightmare. I found the Dreamstone pulsing with warm light. Before leaving, I saw a faint image within the stone, a glimpse of my father, not consumed but observing. He was still out there. Back at the veil, the tear was a gaping wound. The shade had grown immense, threatening to overwhelm everything. I channeled all my energy, all the hope I could muster into the Dreamstone. It amplified my intentions, projecting waves of peace and tranquility into the waking world. It wasn't a complete reversal, not immediately, but it was enough. The shade recoiled, weakened. The tear in the veil began to shrink, to mend. It felt like holding a dam with my bare hands, but it held. I could feel the waking world begin to remember how to dream, to hope. The veil is still fragile but stable. The nightmares haven't vanished, but they're quieter. People are sleeping a little easier. Alara is already working on new defenses, new ways to strengthen the boundary between worlds. I haven't heard from my father, not yet, but I feel a connection. A faint echo. I continue to watch, to mend, to protect. It is a lonely task, but someone has to do it. The waking world needs its dreams, and I am the waker. The skybound labyrinth stretches before me, and I continue to wander, always listening for the faintest whisper of hope.